Stories of innovation and success from the vibrant communities of rural Nova Scotia. This is Ignited.
Hi there, welcome to another episode of Ignited. I'm Wade Cleveland and I work for a rural innovation hub called Ignite. I'm here to tell you some great small town and rural success stories. This episode, we're talking about making a career in acting with Robert d'Entremont, an actor making waves in Montreal. Now, Robert is originally from a small Acadian village in southwestern Nova Scotia called Pubnico, and he was inspired to pursue his career in high school by a very talented teacher of his, Yvette d'Entremont. After high school, Robert was selected as one of 18 students into the Concordia Theatre Performance Program. After receiving his Bachelor of Fine Arts at Concordia, he made his way to New York, where he was accepted into the Tom Todoroff Acting Conservatory and acted in 2 off-Broadway plays at the New Comedy Theatre. From there, it was to Montreal, where he acted in TV shows in Quebec, among them Patrice Lemieux 24/7, where he was cast in the first 2 seasons, and a hit comedy show called Les Maisons Bleues, which is set in an alternate history where Quebec separated from Canada in 1995. Now, he's been in movies such as Seasoned with Love and the blockbuster Midway, and of late he's been turning his focus towards writing and producing his own work. I met up with Robert while he was back in southwest Nova Scotia, putting together segments for a live music television program on Radio-Canada, the French language division of the CBC, celebrating Acadian Day and Acadian culture. Now, Robert is hosting the event, which will air live on August 15th from Pubnico, as well as doing some writing and even directing these segments, all of which he's very excited about. Robert, thanks a lot for talking to us, first off.
Yes, I like your studio.
Oh, thank you very much.
Very nice, yeah.
I'm really excited to actually meet you in person. We have talked before, and we've been Facebook pals for a while.
Yeah,
but
I feel like I know you a little bit.
Yeah, I think so. I think we've kind of learned a lot about each other just by what we do on Facebook and that kind of thing.
And we just had lunch.
Yes. And it was delicious.
It wasn't too spicy. Yarmouth spicy is not Montreal spicy.
Yeah, I would say not.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's start with your TV show that you're working on right now and why you're here.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then I want to tell your story. I want you to tell your story about everything that you've been up to because it's a fascinating story.
Okay, so the La Fête Nationale de l'Acadie is on the 15th of August.
Right.
It's a big show to celebrate Acadian culture. It's happening in Pubnico, which is the first Acadian village that still is francophone. It was founded in 1653.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have this big show that's happening in Pubnico. From what I've heard, there should be about 1,000 people that show up. This is just like rumors and stuff. But yeah, it's going to be a really big show. And over the past week, we've been filming these, I guess you would call them TV bits or skits that are going to be sort of popping up after each commercial break. So there's 5 in total. So we actually just finished them yesterday. And I am tired and happy, but yeah, I don't think I've ever been this tired before. Yeah, I'm burnt, but I'm happy.
You came up with these yourself or seem to have.
So I was hired as a writer, I was hired as a host, and I also directed one of the skits and helped with some of the directing with the actors for maybe like 4 of the skits, the ones that we shot actually this week in Pubnico. It was amazing. The people in Pubnico were so good. We wouldn't have been able to do it without volunteers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the things that I had planned were not necessarily, I think the people from CBC, before they came down, they were like, we want to make sure that this is realistic. Like, we don't want to show up and not be able to bring your ideas to life because they're too complicated. And I was like, no, we're going to do this. Like, people are going to help us.
Mm-hmm.
And it was true. Like, we had scenes in a school where people just waited like an hour and a half without AC, like 30 people waiting for us to show up with the crew because we were doing stuff in the flats, like you say. And it took longer than we thought it would. And people just waited. And then when we showed up, they were happy that we were there and they were happy to be a part of it. And that's the way it felt throughout the whole thing. People were just willing to give their time. And yeah, it was amazing. I really didn't, like, I live in Montreal now, right? And I'm used to living in a metropolitan city where people are quite individualistic, right? So you kind of get used to that, right? People not giving up their time just for free just because they want to be nice. Like, that doesn't really happen in Montreal. So Yeah, I'm deeply touched by people's volunteering and being so helpful for free and just being happy to be there. Yeah, it was amazing.
There's a novelty to what you're doing compared to, it's not like it happens every day either. But we have this reputation here of being accommodating, hospitable. It's like nowhere else.
It's like nowhere else. I really don't think that there's another place where we wouldn't have been able to shoot this. And I think that's why CBC was really worried, because like just the first sketch that we have like 6 locations.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm in a plane, and I'm like, there's a bunch of stuff that like they were like, okay, like, are you sure this is gonna work? And everybody pulled through. I mean, we were tight, like we were rushing around. But I've been on professional film sets, and usually they don't go that well. Like usually there's a bunch of problems, and we didn't have that many. I mean, maybe when I see the editing, I'll go, oh God, we messed up there. But like for right now, and I had a great team. The people that worked for CBC, and Luc Déon is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
He is the executive producer of the show. Actually, the show is here because of him. If it wasn't for him, we would not have the show here.
Okay, who's Luc?
Luc Déon works for la FECAN, la Fédération Acadienne Culturelle Acadienne de la Nouvelle-Écosse.
Right.
So basically, they applied to have the show, and I don't think they really thought they would get it. Because usually it's in like Caracat or like big places in New Brunswick,
Mm-hmm.
and they got it. And then it was like, oh, we got to do it now.
Right.
So then I think they were throwing names around. And then, I was chosen as the host. I'm from Pubnico,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm an actor. So I think it was logical for them to choose me. But I was really happy when I got the news. I was like, for sure, I'll do it. Yes, I would love to write these TV bits. That's like a dream of mine. I've always wanted to write, and I've always wanted to direct. And I love Pubnico, and I actually, since I moved to Montreal, I've become more proud of my culture, because people in Montreal really like the fact that I'm Acadian. Here, it's normal that I'm Acadian. We're 2,000 people. There's nothing special about me in the way I talk. But it was an immediate icebreaker when I moved to Montreal. And it was easier for me to make friends, because people in Montreal and Quebec in general really like French speakers, because they're worried about losing their language, and it's a really important thing to them. So when they have people coming in and that they speak French, they're really happy. So, and Acadians have, in general, a really good reputation. You don't really need to say anything, and people already like you just because you're Acadian. So I definitely benefited from that, going to a university and not knowing too many people, and, going to a big city. It was definitely a plus that I was an Acadian. So yeah, I'm coming back with like a different perspective. I come back maybe once a year, and yeah, this time it feels a little bit different. I think my perception of the place has changed, and I'm more appreciative of the vibe. People are nice. People are really nice.
And that's a great thing.
And that's rare, which is something that I didn't realize until I left. Like, everybody's not nice. Canadians aren't all nice. This is not true. This is just not true. People are like, pretend to be polite in certain places. There's like in Toronto, it's people like are polite, but they're not really welcoming. But people here are really welcoming. I mean, in Yarmouth as well. Like it's in Halifax too. Halifax is known, Nova Scotia is known, Newfoundland too, are really just like super welcoming places. Like notorious for that.
It's a special thing.
It is.
And it means a lot. Here's the thing with this, and we talked about this during lunch, actually. I come from kind of a tourist background, and we've suffered a little bit over the last couple of years. Of course, we've had COVID and all that other fun stuff.
Not fun.
Not fun at all.
Not fun.
No. And so here we are. I just finished off a big convention with travel writers, and they got to come look. And that's what they're saying. They're saying it's unlike anywhere else. A, it's beautiful, but B, the people are uniquely hospitable, I guess is a good way to put it.
And the beauty. I didn't realize how beautiful it was. I guess maybe I was too young and I didn't really care about that stuff.
Yeah.
When you grow up somewhere, you don't really realize how nice it is. But, I was like out on the wharf, just looking out from Pubnico West to Pubnico East, thinking, wow, like this is beautiful. Like this is a beautiful place. In the plane, we had shots. Oh my God. Like I shot shots with my iPhone. I'll show you later. They're amazing. Like the water is so blue, everything's green. It was clear skies, there was no fog. I also miss fog. That's another thing that I didn't think
Whatever happened.
would happen. But yeah, I don't see fog anymore. It's more like smog, and it's not the same thing.
No.
It's not wet. It's just gray in Montreal.
Yeah.
But yeah, this fog maybe like once a year, and it's like a phenomenon, you know? But yeah, I do miss just the hometown vibe in general.
This
Yeah.
is a real opportunity for you to shine as well. I mean, this is a big production.
It's a big production.
It gives you a chance to, well, as you mentioned, you're hosting, you're doing some of the writing, you're directing, plus for the French language musicians that are going to be featured on this show.
Yes.
This is huge.
Who are like maybe not here the most famous people, but in Montreal, like a good 6-7 people on the list. What do you call it when there's a list of artists on the
lineup?
The lineup.
There you
exactly.
go.
Yes. Thank you. God, I was like, oh God, I'm tired. Please save me. Okay. So yeah, there's people like that in Montreal. They're actually like they play on the radio. People know their songs. They have sold out concerts. Like these are big artists coming here. And one of the things that I want to do is sort of somehow get people to start listening to these artists, because I have a fear that, you know, English music is dominating. English media in general is dominating Pubnico, and maybe a little bit less Claire, but definitely in Pubnico, people listen to TV shows in English. They don't
Right.
listen to TV shows in French. And I don't blame them. I listen to both. But, you know, I was in a TV show in Montreal. Everybody knows about the show. And in Pubnico, only people that I talk to about the show know about the show, and they had to research it, right? They don't. So the people from Pubnico don't necessarily consume French media. So that's one of my concerns with the show. I'm thinking of like finding a way to get people to listen to the songs that are going to be sung during the show. So we were brainstorming ideas at the restaurant, and I'm still not sure what I'm going to do, but I'm going to try to figure something out to make it fun, so that I'm not like telling people you need to know these songs, but to try to make it fun because they're actually really interesting songs. I mean, Petit Beliveau from Claire, and I just watched some like just clips of people in the audience filming him, and it looks sold out at Club Soda, which is a big venue in Montreal. And it's sold out, and people are dancing. There's like almost like a mosh pit going on. And yeah, I'm just like really excited for these artists to come, and I really hope that people are going to be appreciative that we're lucky to have them, right? It's like
Right.
it's a big deal that like Edith Butler has an international career.
Yes.
Like she's 80 and she's still rocking it, you know? Sluice from here, also an interesting band that I didn't know that much about, to be honest, but that I actually only recently realized Trevor used to date, or still is dating, one of my best friend's older sister. So when we were really young, we would like go on, we were like 10, maybe like discovering what the internet was like. She had like Trevor written on her door. And yeah, so I didn't really know. And then it clicked. I was like, okay, that's Trevor.
Right.
Whoa. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for him. I think it's going to be a big thing for him and his band. It's going to be big exposure.
He's
and
very excited about it.
He's very excited about it?
Yeah.
Good. I think he should be.
Yeah.
It's a big deal. I think that it's important that throughout my my TV bits that we celebrate what makes Pubnico different than the other Acadian villages in Canada. We have an interesting way of speaking. We have interesting words that we use that don't really exist in other Acadian places. And so my TV bits are sort of to highlight different aspects of our culture. So I have one where it's about Roppy Pie. I have one where it's an intro about me coming to the show. I've got one which is called Pubnico 101, which is a school that we've set up to sort of help people understand the way that people in Pubnico speak, because we're worried about people coming and not understanding us. It's all humoristic, absurd skits, right? It's very burlesque, fun, and I'm really, really happy with what we shot this week. Honestly, it's like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders. I've been thinking about this for 5 months, and I've been working with people. I wasn't alone. Working with Luc, getting feedback, and now it's shot. We've done the hard part. We've finished it. It's a big deal.
Now it's just the live show to be done.
Oh, the live show, yeah. I only recently started thinking about it, to be honest, because I was so busy doing the TV bits, and now it was like, you asked me if I was feeling nervous, and I was like, now I am, like now I'm starting to think about it,
Because it's real. It's
because
becoming real.
it's real. You say yes to something, and then and then when the time comes, you actually have to do it.
Yeah.
The idea of doing it versus doing it, like stepping out on a stage in front of 1,000 people with 200,000 people watching on TV live, is a stressful thing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be very prepared, and I'm going to do my very best so that people here are proud of what I'm doing. And I feel like I have enough experience of working under pressure that it should go well. But there's still, that fear in your brain that like something terrible is going to happen. You're going to forget everything. You're not going to be able to walk, and you're going to like fall or whatever. I'm more excited than I am scared. And sometimes when I think about walking out, I get goosebumps.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a good sign.
I agree. It is, absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's go back in time. Let's go way back in time.
Way back in time.
Way back in time. You're in high school.
I'm in high school.
You said you were a 14-year-old brat.
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah. Because we were talking about Madame Yvette. And I was
Yes.
like, yeah, I wasn't the easiest student she's ever had. I was not the happiest kid throughout those years when she was my teacher. I was like maybe 14, 15 when she was my teacher.
Yeah, and we're talking, by the way, about Yvette d'Entremont. Who really has, culturally, is very well known here.
Yeah,
she does some amazing stuff.
She's been doing plays. She's a singer. My first play was with her. I mean, if you want to start there, I could start there.
Sure.
16, Don Juan, first play, lead role. She told me it was my calling. Started seriously considering acting. We did improv stuff.
Right.
And the improv stuff I was really good at. I won the improv award or whatever. It was like a competition, Public's Choice or whatever. Mm-hmm. And, people thought that I was funny. People liked what I was doing. And, it was fun. I like making people laugh. It's something that I genuinely enjoy. Mm-hmm. And that I think about all the time. Then we did a play, and then she was like, you should do this. You should seriously consider doing this. This is your calling. And I hadn't really thought about it. And I think it's really important to mention, if there's teachers listening, I think that maybe I wouldn't have dared, or I wouldn't have followed my dreams had it not been for a teacher that told me that it was possible. And that's not to say that my parents did anything wrong. I didn't really necessarily explicitly tell them that I wanted to be an actor. She just sort of guided me and told me that it was possible. Mm-hmm. And then she helped me apply for schools. She helped me audition. We rehearsed together, and then I got into Concordia University at the age of 18. First audition, I got into the theater performance program, which, not to toot my own horn, but there was 200 people that auditioned, and only 18 got in. And I'm from Pubnico, Nova Scotia. I have 2 plays under my belt, and I'm shaking in my boots, auditioning, and I somehow got in. And I think they saw how much I wanted it, right?
Right.
I was probably too intense, which was maybe my first major acting lesson was to relax. And then after that, after I got my degree, I went to New York, and I studied at the Tom Todoroff Conservatory in New York City, which is just like an acting conservatory. Mm-hmm. And I stayed there for a year. It was very expensive. And after the first year, I decided not to go back because I felt like I had gotten what I was looking for, which was maybe a more strict program. It was maybe a little bit too strict in hindsight.
Okay.
I think you can always be nice and direct. I don't think you need to be mean to people, ever.
No, I agree 100%.
Yeah, so that's what the issue was sometimes it felt like it was like not necessarily only about the acting. It was actually personal sometimes, and it shouldn't be like that. I had good training in New York. It wasn't bad training. It was just like really intense. It was like a military version of acting school or something. Right. And then, started auditioning and booked, a couple roles here and there, and been slowly building up my resume. And in 2021, end of 2021, I booked a principal role on a TV show in Quebec.
Yeah, which is quite a show, too. And especially for our audience right now, probably most of them are English and aren't aware of La Maison Bleue.
Of course.
This is a concept, man.
Yes.
The Québécois won and separated from Canada.
Yeah, in 1995 or 6. I don't remember when the referendum was.
And this is a satire. This is a comedy.
It's a satire, yeah. It's Quebec. It's people from Quebec that decided to poke fun at what would have happened if we had separated. If they had separated. I say we because I live there now, but
right.
Yeah, like what would have happened?
And your role was a separatist in and of itself. You were leading like an Acadian separatist.
Yeah.
That's a great concept.
It's a great concept. So yeah, I'm playing an Acadian terrorist who is dating the daughter of the president of Quebec. And he is a terrorist in a group where they're the Front de Libération de l'Acadie, FLA, which is a joke at the FLQ, right? Mm-hmm. And so we're basically saying like Quebec has their own territory. We want our own territory. We've been deported. We never have our own land. We're just sort of like mixed matched around villages all over the place. And so we take measures into our own hands, and things get really bad. Yeah. I can't talk. I have a hard time talking about the show because I'm always like on the verge of spoiling things. But yeah, it was an amazing experience. I was in 8 episodes, and then something happens where I'm not at the end. It was a great experience. And we worked with Ricardo Troggi, who's a director who has won multiple awards in Quebec. A bunch of his movies are on Netflix. 1981, if somebody wants to go check it out. It's my favorite movie from him.
It's a heck of a movie.
It's on Netflix. Beautiful. And he narrates throughout the whole thing. He's a really good narrator. And yeah, it was a really good learning experience. I got cast. It's interesting how I got cast.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about the audition?
Yes, please.
So my boyfriend's named Danny Turcotte, and he is a comedian who I was supposed to go sing for him on a show. Okay, called En Direct de l'Univers. I had to go sing that day. It was a Friday. And that day I was auditioning for Maison Bleue as well. In the morning, I go. I'm really stressed out about my singing anyway. I go in, so I'm maybe not that nervous because I got this other thing that's crazy. Mm-hmm. So I really prepped hard for the audition, and I was just like, I did the audition. We did it a couple times. It felt great. Oftentimes, I leave feeling great, and I don't get it. So I left, got ready for my day, and then I got a call from my agent that pretty much said, you didn't get it. They think you're too old for the part. They want you, but you're just a little bit too old. Your girlfriend's like 19 in the show, and they think you look like 25, 26. You're in university together. It doesn't really make sense. And I was like, that's too bad. But I'm used to getting rejected. It's not an uncommon thing for me to experience. It's part of the game, right?
Right, of course.
It's not just me. It's just the way it is. I find out that I didn't get the part, but that they're going to give me a smaller part. So I was like, cool, I'll be there a couple days. I'll be able to get some more experience. Like, fine, I want to be a part of this. It's hilarious. The way it's written was good. I really liked the script. I thought it was just brilliant. And then the next day, I'm at the gym, and my agent calls me, and I'm like in my underwear in the changing room. Mm-hmm. And I pick up the phone, because when she calls, I pick up really quick, because I'm like, maybe I booked something. I mean, usually it isn't that, but anyway, usually it's like, you have an audition and there's something they want to know and something like that. But anyway, that's what it was. It was a call to tell me that I got the part, and I was like, you're kidding me? And she was like, I would never kid you about something like this. They changed the script. They're justifying somehow in the script that you're older. They mention it. So it's an easy fix for them. And that's how I booked it. That's the story. And then They took time, though. They took a couple days. They were casting last minute for this. And then I was shooting 4 days later. I had 10 scenes to do 4 days later. It was insanity.
It had to be.
It was insanity. I was like, first, big production, 4 days to prepare. That's not normal. And in Quebec, they don't have big budgets, so you got to do it quick. You got to get it right. They don't have time.
You're not getting 15 takes.
You're not getting 15 takes, no. So La Maison Bleue was just really quick. And sometimes we'd be done, and he'd be like, that was good. And I'd be like, you don't want to do it again? Like, I could, in my mind, I'm like, we want to give you options, right? Like, in the editing room, it's nice to have options. And it went so quick. It was just, in comedy, it's just, is it funny? Yes, move on. Mm-hmm. And it was very simple. It wasn't complicated to shoot. But yeah, like my first day, I had I had scenes with some of the biggest actors in Quebec. Like it was a big, like I was nervous. I was really nervous, and I forced myself to be over prepared in case I like wasn't able to think of it. You know, when you get nervous, sometimes you just can't think straight, and all of a sudden you feel like you don't even know how to walk. Like you feel like things, just like basic things, aren't working. You can't feel like you can't breathe. You feel like, so I was like, if that happens, I want to at least know for sure that I'm not gonna forget my lines. So I barely slept for like 4 days and just rehearsed the crap out of my script. And I think it was worth it. And I think it's a lesson that I learned, because I had so many compliments for people on set, people that I look up to, people that win awards, like the Emmy version of, like, the Gémeaux is like an Emmy in Quebec. And a few actors in my first scene, there was 3 of them, all 3 have won awards. I was in the scene with 3 people that have all won awards. It was like a big deal. And they were all like, yeah, you're really good. And I was like, whoa.
That is a great feeling.
It was a great feeling, yeah. I don't think it was I really do think that hard work beats talent. A lot of talented people, not a lot of talented people that work really, 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 really hard. But it's the ones that work really hard who will book and work continuously, especially in the acting industry, which is rough, brutal.
I would think so.
You can get rejected for things that are out of your control,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
You can literally be, when you are judged on your appearance or not chosen based on your appearance, they have the right to do that, right?
Of course.
You're too short. You're too tall.
You're too old.
You're too old. You're too young. Your teeth are too nice. They're not nice enough. You don't look like your brother in the story. Your dad is actually quite short, so it doesn't work. The energy isn't right. You just have a different energy. It's not the right color. You know, it's like painting. Sometimes you have different shades of blue, but you're looking for a blue, but you want to find the right blue, you know? Say you're looking for a baby blue and someone shows up and they've got this really dark blue. Well, it's not what you're looking for, right? It's nothing personal. So it was hard for me to realize that. It took me a long time.
That leads me to the next thing that I wanted to ask you about, and it relates both to what you were literally doing with La Maison Bleue and with you personally too. We talked earlier about Trevor Murphy from Sluice.
Yeah.
And he's a musician, a songwriter, and he did it all in English right up until now. And always had kind of a shyness would be the best way to put it.
Complex, maybe?
A bit of a complex when it comes to singing in French. Because
I don't blame him.
He thought that, he would be frowned upon because the way that you speak French in Parambas certainly isn't the same as in Quebec.
Definitely not.
Did you run into that a lot? You mentioned before when you first moved that people thought it was kind of exotic. But when it comes to doing television, is it an important aspect?
It's a great question because my character was from Moncton. I don't know if you know people from Moncton and Pubnico, but they don't speak the same way.
Oh, no, I would think not.
So in those 4 days, I was not only memorizing the crap out of my lines, I was doing hardcore dialect work. I paid somebody from Moncton to coach me every day, and we worked on each individual sound until I had it perfect. And I did that for the audition, but 1 scene versus 10 is a lot more work, right? But yeah, in terms of the accent, I would say I have auditioned for some Acadian parts, and they're like, you were really good, but that accent is really hard to understand. We actually don't understand you. And so I'm like, okay, maybe I should learn how to do a Moncton accent, because this is what people expect Acadians sound like, right? It's like, we don't sound the same. Moncton and Pubnico, we just don't. It's not the same accent.
No.
Sure, there's some English in there and there's some similarities, but the pronunciations aren't the same. You know, that's one aspect to it. I have been refused because my accent was too strong. I do have a talent with accents, I would say. I need time. I can't just whip them out. But I do have like a method that I follow. You focus on the different vowel sounds and the musicality and the intonations and all that stuff, and you sort of categorize it section by section, and you listen to it a lot. I'm pretty good at imitating. If I have time, I'm pretty good at imitating things. That's been helpful. I do enjoy doing accents. I like it. I think it's a cool skill to have. I think it impresses people. I have a video on YouTube where I do I think maybe 12 accents in a row. It's a really quick video. Everybody's really impressed that I could do that. It's like a really cool thing that people are like, whoa, I could never do that. But you know, it's if you take the time to learn how to do it, you can do it. It's just tongue placement and changing vowels and stuff. Everybody can do it.
Now, a lot of the stuff I saw you do early on was completely silent. When I first started paying attention to what you were doing, this was a couple of years back, you were doing these great gags, but it was the just for laugh gags where you literally didn't speak. It was almost mimed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I didn't have that many lines at the beginning of my career. The first show that I booked, I had like 5 lines, though. And I mean, that was like a lot of lines for the first thing that you're doing. So I did have some speaking parts. But yeah, Just for Laughs was a silent part. But actually, that whole show was silent. Nobody speaks in that show.
No, nobody.
So yeah, that's actually a great example. It's actually difficult to mime and not speak because you got to really focus. I like working with my body. I'm like maybe more of a physical actor than anything else. I think that translates well for comedy. As people that are very expressive. Like I don't know if you watch Schitt's Creek. Like they're really big.
Yeah.
Right. They're not shy with their bodies and moving around and expressions and stuff. So I think that pays well for comedy. And that was one of the things that I learned on Maison Bleue was, go for it.
Okay.
Go for it. Don't be shy. Go for it. Worst case, you'll do it again. And even looking at it now, I could have been bigger. And so it's things that you learn through experience. It's not something you can really know until you sort of figure it out yourself. And each production is different. There's no rule to follow. There's some tips that you learn in school, but the best way to learn how to act is by doing acting gigs. And it's really hard to book acting gigs when you don't have experience. So it takes a while to build up your resume.
Yeah.
If anyone's listening and want to be an actor, I'm just letting you know it's tough. It's not easy. You should do it because you love it, not because you want to be famous. It takes way too long.
Well, talk about that. Let's go back to early days again. And you're in Montreal and you're looking for gigs. I imagine you'd have to have a side hustle.
Yeah.
You got to survive.
So I actually still work as a concierge.
Oh, really?
Yeah. No, I don't make enough money. I mean, I make probably half of my year with acting. And maybe that's changing somewhat right now, but I'm not comfortable leaving my job yet. Who knows? I might not work again. I don't think that's what's going to happen, but it could. I mean,
it's possible.
I'd be dumb to quit my day job. I have a really good day job. I work 3 hours a day. People are nice to me. I can memorize my lines at work because I have headphones. And so oftentimes I'm memorizing my lines and working at the same time, and doesn't affect my job. So, I mean, why not, right? Or sometimes I listen to podcasts about acting. That One Audition is a really good podcast.
Really?
Yeah, it's called That One Audition. They interview actors about their audition experiences, because that's what an actor doesn't act on TV shows. An actor auditions for projects. That's what an actor does. When you book something, it's just the icing on the cake. Usually, I mean, especially at the beginning of your career, and even if you're established, most people still audition. Unless you're a name that brings money in for funding, you still have to audition.
If you were giving any kind of advice to someone who's listening right now who's thinking, I'd like to go in this direction, when it comes to auditioning, what would you give them as some advice?
Okay, I would say memorize your lines. The first thing is memorize your lines, and don't memorize them just a certain way. Because what happens is you get in there, you memorize it a certain way, and then you deliver it exactly that way. But what you're getting is when you walk into an audition room, you have a camera and you have a reader. And the reader is going to do it differently than what you imagined, obviously. You can't predict what they're going to do. And the way that they do it, if you're not responding to that in the moment and you're just recreating what you were rehearsing at home, you have this really static audition.
Right.
So what you need to do is over-prepare so that you can let go of all the work that you've done and just be present in the audition. And that is way easier said than done. That's why acting is hard, because you have a preconceived idea of what it should be, and then you're trying to force that onto a moment that is not real, that is not really happening. So that's why sometimes it doesn't look real, or sometimes it looks bad. It's not because the actors are bad, it's because the job is really hard. It's really hard to do a good job as an actor. It's not something that's easy. So my audition process now is very different from what it was before. Before it was very focused on what it would look like, sound like, how I would say my lines. Now it's very much about understanding what I want. I'm going to say memorize my lines first. Memorize my lines to the point where I could say them with any emotion. You could say your lines however. You could try to throw me off. I could say them in a train wreck. They would come out. That's the best advice that I can give you. Really, honestly. That is 60% of the job is that. Just being really off book. So you're not thinking about your lines, because you can't be present with somebody while you're thinking about what's coming next. Like right now, if I'm talking to you and I think, what is he going to say next? What is he going to say next? Okay, and then I'm going to say that. And then I'm not there. I'm somewhere else. So you're not going to look like you're really living something.
You're almost not listening or looking for any response from the person who you're talking to because you're too wrapped up into your own head for what comes next.
That's exactly right. That's exactly it. You've understood it. That's perfectly explained. Yes. 100%.
So be in the moment.
So be in the moment. And how do you do that? It's impossible to just show up and be in the moment. You need to be really prepared to do it. Unless you're like, I don't know, maybe Jennifer Lawrence or someone who just like shows up and is amazing somehow without any training or what. Those people don't really exist. Like I don't even know if, I feel like she's just lying. Like I feel like she's been to, yeah, she's got a crazy amount of confidence. You know, I don't have that. I have confidence, but I don't have that naturally. Like I can't just show up somewhere and like sort of memorize my lines. And like I could, but I mean, way better when I take the time. And also, if you get directed and you get given some notes that you didn't even think, or context about the character, sometimes you got a small scene to do. You don't have anything else. Like I auditioned for a show called Transplant, like, I don't know, 20 times. It's on CTV. I don't know if you've heard of it.
I watch it, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I auditioned for it weekly sometimes. They keep calling me back, and I haven't booked anything. I don't know, like, it's a good sign when you get called back. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I auditioned. I helped friends audition for the show. And yeah, you don't get that much information. Sometimes you're like, well, and then you do the audition and you send it, or now it's all self-tapes, right? But, you know, sometimes you can ask if you want context because you don't understand something. But a lot of times, yeah, they'll sort of tweak it, or they'll say something that changes completely what you were thinking. So you have to be ready for that. And they want to know that you're going to be able to take direction. Because if you're really stuck in one way of doing it, even if it's right, but you can't take direction, and somebody else took direction really well, but they were like a little bit, you know, but they were real, they're going to pick the person that felt real.
That makes perfect sense. You ever think of becoming a teacher?
Yes.
Because that was very good.
Yeah, I have. Yeah. I have thought about teaching. I thought maybe more like coaching, like audition coaching than teaching.
Right.
And I think I would find it difficult to charge money for it. I have some trauma from teachers that like would charge people and that would say things that I really do disagree with now. And also acting is different for everybody. I'm saying this is my process,
right,
and this is how I would do it. And I know people who work differently, who do a lot of character work, for example, who like do a backstory and do all this stuff, and it helps them. It makes them feel more confident. Whatever makes you feel more confident in the room is what you should do. And I don't mean confidence as in like confidence where you're showing up and you're pretending to know what, like that you're like infallible and that you're perfect. That's not confidence. Confidence is showing up, being open to whatever's going to happen and being okay with the outcome. Like your self-esteem isn't going to be ruined if this goes bad. A really good actor is okay with failure.
But you have to be.
Yeah, because if you're not open to it being bad, you can't be real.
Right.
You can't really you can't plan what's going to happen. So you have to have this openness that it could go wrong. I mean, it could.
Yeah.
You could be really, really prepared so that you have more tools to deal with things if things aren't going right. But, you know, I've messed up a couple times and been embarrassed, and, you know, you pick yourself up and you do it again.
Yeah. There's an element of fearlessness, and that's different from nervousness. I mean, you can get nervous thinking about doing an event or being on stage or whatever, but there has to be almost a fearlessness in the performance.
Yeah, I think that if you're really focused on what you want to accomplish in the scene and you know who you're talking to, then it's really easy to zero in on the situation, and then that makes you not think about how you're doing, how you sound, what you look like, if you're good, if you're bad, if you're going to get the job, if you're not going to get the job, if your mom's going to be excited if you book it, if you're going to be able to post on social media how cool you are, all that crap that like just is really not helpful is going to be in your brain. And that is not what you want to have in your brain while you're acting with someone, or auditioning, or acting in general, or in your everyday life, if I dare say so. But, you know, we're humans, and we're all a little bit needy.
Oh. Of course we are. What's next? Once you get through the live show, are you heading back to another job? Is it more auditions? What's going on?
Okay, so after I'm done the live show on the 15th, I have no idea what I'm doing.
Really?
Yeah, I have no idea what I'm doing. I stopped auditioning for things probably a week ago, so that I would just. It's a lot of work auditioning, and I don't have room in my brain anymore. So I just stopped auditioning, and I'm happy to stop, to be honest. And I'm happy to dedicate myself for this show. This is what I'm excited about, and I don't know what's going to happen after this show. I do have an idea to shoot a web series in Pubnico. It's in very early stages. I would say it's like in pre-production, where I'm just like figuring out the concept and if it's feasible and if people would be interested in working with me. And maybe after I did this show, there'll be like a bit more interest in working with me. Because I feel like the skits that I've done, I think they're going to be really good.
You're feeling good about the whole thing.
I'm feeling good about the whole thing right now. So I think I can be confident. I think I can buy the bottle of champagne now and keep it in the fridge and expect to drink it after the show and be really happy.
The Acadian Day celebration will air live on Radio Canada on August 15th, 2022. You can also follow Robert on Instagram. His handle is @myfatherisafisherman. Thanks for listening to Ignited. If you enjoyed this episode, we'd love it if you subscribed, shared us with a friend, and gave us a good review. And we'd love to hear from you. Our website is igniteatlantic.com, and my email is Wade, W-A-D-E, @igniteatlantic.com. Any ideas, comments, we'd love to hear from you. Thanks for listening. We'll talk again soon.